So in this video, we're going to talk about Texas annexation. Some of the key figures here in Texas annexation are Anson Jones, who is president of Texas when annexation takes place. He was a friend of Sam Houston, and because Sam Houston because in Texas, in the Republic of Texas, you cannot have run for president and serve in consecutive terms. Somebody else has to run. So Anson Jones is seen as an extension of Sam Houston's presidency, and so it's a rejection of Marabou Lamar, and it's a saying that we want to continue with the type of leadership that Sam Houston has had. So you've got Sam Houston there, and behind him, kind of the man behind Anson Jones. And then on the right here, we have John Tyler, who is I'm sorry, not John Tyler, James Polk, who is the president of who is elected president of Texas, and that election takes place, and then even before he's elected, before he actually takes office, the negotiations are going to happen because people see the writing on the wall, because James K. Polk runs on this idea that he's going to annex Texas and add Texas to the United States. So what are some of the details of that? We're not going to get into too deep into the details, but we are going to get into a little bit of the details about how this process worked, because Texas has been independent since 1836, and here it is 1844, and Texas is still not part of the United States. All right, so Anson Jones is sometimes called the architect of annexation. So with little progress on annexation, Anson Jones actually begins talks with Great Britain about just improving that relationship, improving their trade relations and things of that nature. And at this same time, Great Britain, really around the world, is working to end slavery, is trying to end slavery, certainly trying to end the slave trade and working to do that. And so the people in the United States see that, wait a second, Texas is kind of deepening its relationship with Great Britain, and that worries the United States. And so how much of these talks were actually sincere on the part of Texas, or were really just trying to get attention from the United States, in a sense, saying, if you're not gonna do annex us, then maybe we need to focus our attention on our relationship with Great Britain and improve that relationship there. Maybe Great Britain will be a more important trading partner for us, and who knows what else may happen. And so that worries the United States and spurs people in the United States on. Now, there's a huge portion of the United States that wants Texas anyway. They want to add us another slave state. The southern United States does, and they want to expand west, and Texas is certainly a big part of Manifest Destiny, expanding west, and we'll look at that more in detail when we get to the westward expansion unit. So Anson Jones, this kind of spurs the United States along, and Texas annexation does happen. So most Texans still wanted to join the United States. Not all. There were some that were against it, like we talked about before. Marabou Lamar was opposed to it. And many of the Texans obviously had come to the Texas from the United States. They still had family and friends there. And so Texans felt that annexation would eliminate this looming threat from Mexico. So there's this constant threat from Mexico that, Texas is not that powerful. Mexico has a larger army and a larger population, and so there's this constant kind of worry what's going to happen if Mexico really decides they can focus their energy on trying to retake Texas. In 1844, the U.S. presidential election takes place. Kind of alluded to that earlier. Henry Clay was against annexation. He's running. James K. Polk is for annexation, and he's running. And James K. Polk wins the election, and part of it is based on this promise to annex Texas, even if they think it'll cause war. And so, when James K. Polk wins, it's obvious, okay, this is what's going to happen. So the Congress of the United States goes ahead and moves forward with the annexation of Texas. And it actually even happens before Polk takes office. So Polk is elected, people of the U.S., the annexation of Texas happens, and on December 29, 1845, James K. Polk made Texas the 28th state in the U.S. So the agreements happen. The final treaties aren't ultimately all finalized until December of 1845, and Texas becomes the 28th state of the United States. Now, what does this mean? Well, the U.S. adds a large piece of land, but at what cost? What's going to happen next? There's some big questions that are looming. Will Mexico has not officially announced, has not officially even recognized the Republic of Texas as an independent nation. What are they going to do now that Texas is claiming and the United States is saying that Texas is part of the United States? Will this annexation of Texas lead to war with the United States between the United States and Mexico? That's certainly possible. And so what we go from is where we've got the United States here, Mexico here, Republic of Texas. Now all of this territory is claimed by the United States. What's going to happen? That's the big question. Now that Texas is part of the United States, what will happen? So that kind of is a real quick overview of the annexation of Texas.